Food enthusiasts, we have all been really excited to bring you this event tonight with the opportunity to connect with local food and like-minded people. Whether you came for entertainment, education, or an eye-opener, we promise you'll receive all of the above. And tonight's event was brought to you by Think Nampa First. For those of you who don't know who that is, Think Nampa First is a local nonprofit organization. It's actually composed of local business owners that volunteer their time to educate consumers. Apparently it's on now, didn't realize it wasn't before. To educate consumers as well as other business owners the effects that spending our money locally has on our economy and our community. So let's give them a round of applause. Think Nampa First is volunteering. So we are all very fortunate to have some local leaders in the sustainable food movement here to share their message with us tonight.
It's so great to come here to my home county and see people interested in food. And one of my goals as not just a farmer who reaches the public through my booth at the market, but also through the Treasure Valley Food Coalition, is to try to connect food, what we're eating, and agriculture, which is what we're growing. And so it's really important to get those two things into the same sentence and start talking about them both at once. But it's really a challenge to do that. How do we, as you'll see in the film tonight, face a lot of corporate interests and the inertia of a food system that's evolved over the last 60 years, which has essentially taken a diversity of food that used to be grown, including in this county, and moved it somewhere else so that we are forced to bring in almost 98% of the food we eat. Here we are surrounded in Canyon County by some of the most beautiful farmland in the world, an elegant irrigation system, and we bring in most of the food we eat. Whereas 50, 60 years ago, as you'll see on the panels, if you go outside into the lobby, I have some information about some work I've done. We aren't eating what we're growing, and so that forces us into a lot of different decisions and a lot of different foods and choices that we may not want. And so my interest is in relocalizing the food system. And it's not easy because we have destroyed a lot of the infrastructure. A lot of the farmers that had the knowledge to grow a diversity of crops are no longer doing it, haven't done it in decades, and so relearning that knowledge is a big push. And so it takes a lot of things, all happening simultaneously. So what's one thing we could do? The one thing we could do is all become more knowledgeable, and by you just being here, that's a really great first step. But the Food Coalition is also working on a project this year called 2011, the Year of Idaho Food. And if you just Google 2011, the Year of Idaho Food, or go to the Treasure Valley Food Coalition website, you'll learn a little bit more about it. I encourage you to go out and buy a sticker that you can put on your car, and it says the Year of Idaho Food. We're just encouraging you to think about your food. Encourage others to think about food. At dinner, at school, at church, wherever it is. Start talking about food and where it comes from, who's growing it, how you're eating it, and what you're eating. And then I'll be alerting you to an event that we're having on Labor Day. Labor Day, the first Monday in September, we've designated the Day of Idaho Food. And during that day, we want every single person in the state to eat at least one thing on their plate from the state, from your garden, from your neighbor's garden. Don't steal it. But anywhere you are buying your food or getting your food from, let's have as much food from Idaho on that day. And so we're setting up a website by which you can share what you're eating on the Day of Idaho Food and share that with the rest of the state. We think it will be very revealing, and it will make people who might not like you, they don't think much about their food. Maybe if we can get them to think just one thing about their food and where it comes from, we will have made tremendous progress. And movies like this move it even further. So I thank you all for coming to this event, and thank you for your support of local food and what's grown here locally, and spending your money here at home supporting the people who support you in your community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm really glad to see everybody out here. I thought, I had notes, but I didn't bring my glasses, so I'm going to have to kind of wing it. I thought one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is kind of say the transition, or how we got into the natural meats. And we do beef, pork, chicken, turkey, as well as eggs. My husband, like we said, has been in farming. His father had been in farming. And one of the main livestock were hogs. It was probably, Eddie and I got married in 1998, so that's when I joined the farm. And at first we were thinking about going ahead and expanding that hog farm. First of all, it became very clear to us that the era of the small farm no longer existed. With the prices the way they were, and the numbers that we wanted to raise, it wasn't gonna work. Everything was going to the factory farm, and it was becoming very apparent to us that we weren't going to be able to fit into that picture. So we decided to sell direct to the public. That has been a real experience as well. We have to get the word out. We spent years doing remodeling old buildings for the store. And with that, we just keep learning more and more about how to raise meat and how to raise it responsibly. My philosophy is if I'll eat it and I want to raise it so that I do want to eat it, then that's going to be what other people want to eat. Definitely, we do not do antibiotics, any of the growth hormones, secondary feeds. You know, it's really important that everybody pays attention to what your food is eating, because in turn, that's what you're going to be eating. It's been a lesson for me because I didn't grow up around a farm, and there's a lot that goes into raising food. And I was guilty, probably more so than most people, that if you go to Costco, if you could nuke it, eat it, it was easy, that was fine. Until all of a sudden you see how much work really goes into raising those animals, and if you're looking out for the animal welfare, if you're making sure that they're healthy, it really makes you question how things can be so cheap in the store and so easy, and it takes so much work to do it right. So I think through this time we've gone through the farmers markets, we've gone and tried to spread the word. I have noticed more and more people, particularly after this movie, more and more people find us, and I think once we decide as a movement to pay much more attention to what we're eating, we definitely can get this to grow, and it's not going to be so difficult to find. And that's what most comments I get is people just don't know where to go and where to get the food. There's a lot of us out here. A lot of us are going to fit what you're looking for, and so I think it's great that you're taking this step. And I think with the Year of Idaho Food, I think maybe we can even spread the word farther. So that was it.
Thank you.
Well, we have to talk a little bit about drinking something with all the food.
Right.
I grew up in the big metropolis of Midvale, Idaho. I don't know how many passed through Midvale, tiny little town, but came to school down here. My cousins grew up in Sunny Slope, Idaho. Always loved that area out there. Finished graduate school in 1974. Have a PhD in entomology. Worked with bugs my whole life. Found some property out at Sunny Slope. Planted our vineyards there in 1980. Actually, this is our 31st year of having wine grapes out there. Spent my life as a consulting entomologist on pollination of seed crops. We grow 40 different seed crops here in Canyon County. We're one of the most diverse agricultural farming communities in the country. But I've also worked on big ag farms throughout the world. Spent 12 years working in Australia on farms down there on pollination of crops. But didn't retire, but 4 years ago my wife and I decided to open a tasting room out at Sunny Slope. I've been growing the wine grapes for 30 years. And 12 years ago Greg Koenig started making wines for us. And we decided we won a lot of medals with them. And I've always been a proponent of Idaho wine. So we opened our tasting room. We're 10 miles west of here. Open Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Some of the most spectacular views of the Owyhees you'll want to see. Cherry started blooming this week. It's a good time to come out and sit on the deck and drink wines. But with my background as an entomologist and my love of bees, I've been able to combine growing wine grapes and bees the last few years of actually planting different types of native plants that native bees can reproduce on down the rows of my vineyards. And so I'm actually raising bees that I'm taking down to almond pollination in California right now on some experimental stuff. So it's been a great life for me. It doesn't get better than playing with bees and drinking wine and having good Idaho food. So, I've been involved with Big Ag my whole life. Seen both sides of all these stories here. But Idaho has some of the best farm ground in the country, and it's really fun to be part of a movement to think outside the box, meet some of these people like Ed, who I used to work with in alfalfa seed, that want to stay on the land, do something differently. People are into buying locavores. We also have locapores who like to buy their wines locally. And it's just a good time to be part of this. Janie's been a friend forever, so it's been fun. Come out and see us. I'll talk to you about bees all day long, or whatever you want to talk about. But thank you.
Like you said, I'm here from the Kuna Farmers Market. We're relatively new. We're a small market. We don't have a lot of overhead. We have a few vendors. We're trying to get more. Basically, a little history about it. It's been around for a while, but it kind of fizzled out. Everybody thinks Kuna is a better community. That it is, but it has a viable downtown. And one of the things to get it viable again was to bring a farmers market. Back in 2004, we were approached by a couple saying, okay, we want to try to get a farmers market going in Kuna again. So we said, okay, so normally they had a fall harvest festival. So during the fall harvest festival, I was approached by these people, and they said, okay, we'll set up booths and we'll do it for a weekend. That was our start. From there, it's kind of blossomed, it's grown, it's expanded. This year, the couple that started it decided to hand the reins over and actually get it going as a viable market. So this year, we put a board together. I was elected president of the board. We have a recorder and a treasurer, and we're getting the ball rolling. As far as the farmers markets go, there's a lot of them in the Treasure Valley. Boise City Market opened this weekend, Eagle Farmers Market opened this weekend, and the rest of them are soon open here shortly. In Nampa, you have a Nampa Farmers Market. I also sell at Nampa's Farmers Market. My son goes there, he takes the same stuff we take to Kuna, and we see who can beat each other. Normally we do, but sometimes he does. Farmers markets. Why have a farmers market? Basically, it brings your community together. You get to see friends you haven't seen before. You get to meet new people. On the other hand, you're looking for what? Produce, trinkets, gifts, what have you. Farmer market are diversified. How many of you have been to the Boise City Market? The Nampa Farmers Market? Any other markets in the valley? They're all over, okay? Everyone are different. What you see in one market, you might not see in the other market. Then again, because we are a diversified area, what's in Boise City Market, you may not find in the Meridian Market or Nampa Market. So it pays to go out and look around. Plus, it broadens your horizon of what we actually have in the community. As far as local, there's been another movement as far as local, organic, consumer-wise. Local, depending on who you go to, can mean it'll be here in 7 hours, it'll be here in 7 days. It's within a 3-state area. What have you? They take the word and they expound on it. Organic was a big word in the 80s. Everybody wanted organic, okay? Everybody got in the organic bandwagon. What happened was that the states who certify and the people who certify say, okay, this is our word, organic, it's ours, you can't have it. I see the same thing happening with local. And it's happening. You see it, I don't know if Whole Foods is going to come into Boise or not, but you'll see it in some of their products. They'll say local, turn it over and look at the back, see where it's produced. There's a lot of it that's still produced in China, but it says local. Why? Because they can get it here in such a short amount of time. The Kuna Farmers Market, like I said, we're small, we want to grow, and we want to expand. We start our season this year on May the 7th, and I invite you all to come out.